everybody. I just had a really strange encounter on YouTube, and I wanted to share it with you because I think this could really help a few people understand why we're seeing such great divides due to political ideations, ideologies, beliefs, schemas, all these things, these biases that we all pack around, but we don't always want to admit we pack around. Now, I am not registered to any political party because I don't believe any political party really identifies with what I'm looking for in a candidate. I simply try to vote with the person that I think is going to do the best job for all of humanity without causing the most harm to people. Sadly, that is where my voting has been geared lately. And it's sad to say that, but it is how, as an American voter lately, I've had to identify with the politicians and the options that I've had before me. That being said, I saw a post late last night or early this morning from Borysenko, whom made a very public split from the left when she went to a Trump rally and realized that there are good people on all political spectrums, on all sides of everything. You can find good people everywhere. I supervised violent offenders for a decade, and I found good people that came out of prison after 20 years. You can find good people anywhere. So I watched this video because I have in the past been very enlightened and had a lot of thought provoked from some of her topics and some of her videos. So I went to click on it and watch it. I noticed immediately she was in a very emotional state. She had a very heightened and almost hyperfixated awareness to this video, but what she was saying was not what I was seeing on the video. And from years of sitting in court, I had a different perspective on the video. But first, let you watch a video, and I found one that shows it close up, but it's from someone who is definitely trying to state that there was no altercation. So you just kind of have to ignore the subtitles and just watch the behavior, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, now that you have watched that video, let's take it apart. There was obviously a large crowd, a large rally. There has obviously been a lot of political dissidents and politically motivated behaviors socially that are unacceptable lately. There is a very good reason why people are hypervigilant, especially the cops, when they're monitoring crowds at political venues. That's understandable. As you see, there seems to be a tussle where people actually breach the wall and come up, and the politician does get jostled. He probably gets jostled a few times in the mix. Whatever is seen causes a lot of his staff and the cops to immediately jump in to try to control and subdue the situation. Now, here's where you have to take into effect all different perspectives. From the politician's perspective, he was bumped and attacked, basically what he thinks rushed from behind. The physical contact that he did not approve came from behind and physically moved him. It seems like he was jostled a few times. He obviously, number one, was confused, scared, fearful, and did react defensively, which normal behavior for most people that find themselves in those type of environments. He has every right to think that he was attacked. He has every right, if he was touched, harmed by anyone, to say someone hit me. If he thinks it was a specific person, he has every right to state that person as his attacker, but it must go to court, and it must be looked at. And that's where anyone that is stated as his attacker has the right to defend themselves. Now, as I view the video, I definitely think the politician thought he was being bum rushed. I definitely think he was fearful. I definitely think he was in fear of bodily harm because he reacted defensively, and the cops jumped in because they thought something was going down as well. Was it the little dude with the camera? I don't know. From certain camera angles, it doesn't look like he was close enough. From other camera angles, it looked like maybe he was in on the initial cluster bump. I don't know. I don't know. But I can say that this politician going into that event immediately afterward probably had every belief that he had been assaulted or attempted to be assaulted worse, and he thought it was by that person. He has a right to speak out as someone that has just been in a physical altercation, howbeit ever small we may have thought it was. I basically think it's a non-event because no one got hurt, and normally stuff like that goes to court and they sort it out and they go, I dismissed, it was a misunderstanding, and we all go home. But given the climate of what's been going on politically, I understand why the politician had his hackles up and was very concerned about the behavior, especially if this person had a different belief pattern, political view, that automatically, for some reason in society, makes us enemies. I don't understand that. But that is apparently what is going on in our political world in the year 2022. It's stupid. So I simply responded and said, hey, if he was bum rushed from behind and jostled and touched, he has every right to be in fear of his life or fear of bodily harm. Therefore, yes, he was assaulted. Any unsolicited behavior, whether you get touched or not, if you put someone in fear of bodily harm, is normally deemed an assault. And it can go on to aggravated and battery and have a plethora of other, deviations it can go into. You have to look at it from all perspectives. You have to understand that if you're attacked from behind and you feel a bump in this area and you look that way, you're going to generally think that is the person that hit me. The judge will take all of the video, all the witness, everything, and dish it all out and sort it out. The person being identified as the attacker has every right to defend themselves. Do I think that that person had a malicious intent? No. You can look on the video, he looks kind of surprised at the end of it as well. But here's where I will say, when you go into highly emotional events that have a lot of issues surrounding them, don't put yourself in someone's personal space. Don't even put yourself in twice their personal bubble, because things happen. And when things happen, you become part of it and you have to deal with it. This has every marker that it could go to court. It looks like when we get all the information from all the witnesses and all the officers and all the people, that the court will make a ruling and make a good decision. I just saw videos, which does not tell me everything. People there were privy to way more information than I have from watching a video. I can't assuredly say that someone didn't hit him or that the person he's stating hit him did hit him. I don't know. So that's why it has to go to court. So I'm not trying to lay blame on anyone, but I'm certainly trying to share with her viewers that if that man felt in fear of his life or in fear of bodily harm, he had every right to say he was assaulted. And then it has to go through the channels and be handled. Now, one thing I did not know when I tried to voice my very polite opinion was that this was her friend that was being accused. Now, while I certainly would have anticipated that Carlin, being in the field she's in and doing the work she does and having the last few years of experiencing different sides of our cultures here and our political ideologies in this nation, I really thought that she would communicate with me. But basically, all she did was call me a tribalist shill. I don't belong to any tribe. I think most politicians are crooked as dog's hind legs. And I really think that one of the most embarrassing things in our nation right now is the political agendas that are not even being hid, the political behavior from people that are in power, and the behavior from people that are political analysts who keep the crap going. So I'm not really a shrill. I kind of avoid all of this. But for me, having a background in law enforcement and supervising violent, aggressive offenders, I thought, hey, I can clarify why this could be deemed an assault and why it needs to go to court. Obviously, she didn't want to hear any of that. So she came back immediately with a name, to which I responded, hey, I expected more grace from you, especially in the field you're in, and I certainly think that you might want to look at, perhaps you're looking at this with a schema or a bias. Try to put yourself in different positions and look at it from different perspectives. I think you can understand why it's, if it needs to go to court, it's going to go to court and it will work out. If he was not touched, there will be witnesses and people there to say, hey, he didn't touch him. I hope everything does work out. But I certainly never thought that I would have someone who kind of prides themselves on having an open perspective of political variance attack me when I made one very polite comment and was just trying to really unload what I did know from the court system and from being in law enforcement for that long. I certainly was not trying to be a butthole. I was just trying to say, hey, this is a different way to look at this. This is the way that criminally it's going to be looked at, and this is why it is kind of a big deal and can proceed in court. Now, I was confused by her behavior, and I tried to respond as kindly and graciously, but also leaving a little tidbit trail of saying, hey, shouldn't you maybe be looking at it like this since you're kind of in this work component and you have all of this schooling? I have my master's in psychology as well. And then she came back and said that if I was an avid viewer, I would know that she has a no whining policy, and if I continued to whine, I would be blocked. Well, there was no need. I told her there was no need to block me, that if she was not going to try to communicate with me, that I would, simply just remove myself and provide her no more views, and then I wished her well. But this was very, very strange for me. So right now I'm going to take and show you screenshots of the dialogue. So you can pause and read. Here you go. Now, I certainly don't think I was combative or aggressive in any way. I think I was very polite, shared my knowledge, gave my insight, did not try to instigate anything, and simply tried to explain, hey, you can look at things emotionally, but in a court of law, it's going to be looked at in this way. And it's going to be looked at from various vantage points, and it's going to have to be sorted out. And, we were not there. We don't know what happened. The court will have to talk to everyone that was there, anyone that can give a witness account. They will take everything into consideration and make a ruling, and we have to wait. Until then, everyone is innocent. But I can understand why the politician does feel that he was attacked. Now, I think that Carlin is just being super emotional because she has a friend in the mix. I make it a very big life point to try to not take on a lot of my friends' battles, because that is where you will get sometimes manipulated and sometimes put in a trap yourself emotionally. You kind of get used as an emotional hostage. I don't like that. So if my friends have issues, I'm like, hey, you put yourself in that scenario, you're going to have to take care of it. You're going to have to deal with it. So I certainly hope that if her friend was not responsible for any of the fear that was caused to this politician, that he is cleared of any wrongdoing and everything works out. I wish Carlin no ill will. I think that she has very, very vital viewpoints at times, and I appreciate a lot of the honest conversation that she's brought into the political realm over the last few years. I do fear that perhaps the honeymoon period for her transition to a more conservative base is over, and she's falling back on some of those behaviors that got her a lot of emotional sustenance in previous years, and I hope that that is not something that she's going to consistently maintain and try to do, because it creates a big hiccup for people that are a little bit more consistent politically. And I'm not even going to say conservatives are more consistent. I'm just saying that there are some people that are more consistent politically, and when they look for political analysts, they look for someone who's more consistent in their behavior and speech and in relaying information without a hyper emotional and very fixated thought pattern. So I hope that maybe she's just super emotional because this had to do with a friend, and she will kind of take a couple days and chill out and come back and look at it and say, okay, I can see he probably shouldn't have been standing that close. He put himself in a kind of a dangerous scenario. Even if you're filming, sometimes you forget when the camera's in front of your face how close you actually are to something. Be careful. You can put yourself in a little, in someone's personal bubble, and if you get in someone's bubble and something happens, if you're in the bubble, you're in the mix. So it just requires people being a little bit more aware of spatial awareness, being aware of their bodies, being aware of how they present themselves and interact, and maybe even interaction after confusion. Interaction after confusion is very important, because if something happens and you're confused, the interaction after the confusion can either make things worse or better. Always go to make things better. So I wanted to share this because I thought it was very unfounded for her to say those things to me. It didn't hurt my feelings. She can call me whatever she wants to. I'm not responsible for her perception of me. But I certainly wanted to address this, because I think this is what is keeping our nation and our society on such a tilt-a-whirl. People are so hyper-emotional, they're so hyper-fixated, and they get into these super fixated, biased battles where they have to have their perception be the only perception. That's never gonna happen in life. Anything that you view, everyone else is viewing it different. You have to take a step back and realize that there are several perceptions, several biases, several filters, and we just kind of have to learn to communicate and kind of understand what's going on. Now, what I saw, I explained to you how I kind of absorbed it in the best way possible. Everyone else that watches it is going to see it in a different way. I certainly hope the courts take it apart and look at it very, very carefully to make the right decision. But even I could have missed something and not know exactly what is going on there. Even the people that were in the tussle could mix something and not know exactly what's going on there. These are very heated and confusing scenarios, and they have to be carefully handled. But I will say that she was very upset because just after this occurred, the politician got up on stage and said that he was assaulted. Now, he has every right to say that, because per what happened to him, he feels he was assaulted. And there was an identification made of the assailant. Now, is that assailant guilty? No. Do I think that the politician should have made such a big deal about it? No. No, not until it's gone to court and been settled. But he had every right to talk about what occurred. Now, does the guy that the politician may have named as the guilty party have a recourse? Possibly. Well, that's also an issue for the court, not for just, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's on the internet. But Carla was very upset that her friend was being bad-mouthed and basically called names. I can understand that. But I can also say, hey, you know something? Most people that watch this are going to say, we don't really know what happened, and he's innocent until proven guilty, and political crap, no, just, we understand. There's been a lot of fluff lately. So most people are just going to go, I already have to wait for that to go to court. We're going to have to wait to get all the information. So I don't think that she needed to really jump and protect her friend. I don't think that was necessary, and I don't know why someone at that maturity level in life would think that they have to stand up and step in front of their friend who is obviously an adult and can take care of their own issues. That is something that I would say, hey, why do you feel the need to do this, and does it always put you in the best perspective, the best light, and the best scenarios, and has it caused you harm before, and do you need to repeat that? Because sometimes people need to fight their own battles, and they need to learn the lessons from them. Even if you don't think they're at fault, there's still a lesson for them to learn. Just kind of a little bit of wisdom there. But I understand she doesn't want her friend to be called names. However, the first thing she did to me was call me a name. To which I stated, if it's so wrong for the politician to get up there and badmouth someone and call them a name, why are you doing the same behavior? If it's wrong for one, it's wrong for all. There's no reason to call me a tribalist shill because I'm trying to look at this in a very calm, collected, and all-encompassing manner. There's no reason to become, verbally nasty. There's just not a reason for that. And so I want everyone to watch this and kind of understand people react differently in all scenarios. And someone that I had really enjoyed watching for a number of years made a decision in the last 12 hours that really changed my perspective of them. And I'm going to back away gracefully and hope that this was just a one-off. I hope that if you enjoy watching her videos, you continue to watch and you continue to support her and you continue to give her feedback. And I hope that she accepts your feedback better than she accepted mine today. I hope that if she's having a horrible day, that tomorrow's a better day for her, because there's no need to continue a negative track record. I mean, just wake up tomorrow and make it a good day. There's no need to take everything so personal. But sometimes it's also wise to sit back and absorb the consensus feedback and reflect. And sometimes if you are super close to something, it's better to not speak about it until you are emotionally calm and you can distance yourself a little bit from your emotions. I understand all avenues of this except for the fact that why she retaliated in a manner that she deemed wrong when someone else used. I don't understand that. So now if Carlin actually watches this, I unsubscribed per your wish because you felt that my communication was whining. Certainly did not attempt to whine. I think you chose to see my communication as whining because you did not align with it, agree with it, or want to hear it. Those are all things as an adult you have to understand that you're going to have to deal with in life, especially if someone's trying to give you information about annotated code and court proceedings. It would have probably been better to have read my communication, put it in the back of your brain, and just waited for the court proceedings to see if I had told you honest truth or not. Because court proceedings, annotated code, all that's different than real life and emotions and the mess that goes on when there is a physical interaction. So I hope things go well for your friend. I hope your channel still does great. I hope that you treat your subs with more respect in the future. I hope that you don't see one comment from someone and determine that you know who they are and what they're all about in just a few sentences or a short paragraph. And I hope that whatever caused your mind to clench when you had a possible interaction with me and you chose to be closed-minded, I hope that you look into that and you remove whatever is hindering that and blocking your communication, because there are a lot of great people on your site that don't share your exact viewpoint, but they have great perspectives and great information and great real advice. And not one person in this world has all the information or all the insight or all the right answers. It's very appropriate to listen to lots of avenues of information so that you have a well-rounded appreciation for the society and human beings around you. So I hope things improve. I hope that you understand that the subscribers that come to your page do so because they want to see you do well, and they certainly don't come there to be abused. And I hope you understand that people can have differing views without being an enemy. I thought you had previously learned that, but perhaps we're still learning that. And I hope you understand that I'm not a tribalist shill. I'm just a little old woman that lives in Appalachia, that has a master's in psychology and worked in law enforcement for a decade and supervised murderers. I just had a little bit of common sense I wanted to offer up. And I think if you go back and look at a lot of your comments, a lot of people are having a very similar, well-rounded view, that they don't really know what happened, but they are picking up on this was a hyper-emotional issue for you and hoping that you kind of back off and think about it and that tomorrow's a better day. This was very weird. Very weird. But guys, even the people on YouTube that have big channels are just people. And they have emotions, and they have off days, and they have biases, and they have perceptual filters, and they have schemas, and they have things that augment the way that they see things and the way that they react to things. They're just normal people. They have off days. So, Carlin, I'm going to give you an off day. You asked me not to be back. I won't be back. But I certainly hope that you continue doing well and that you're successful in all your endeavors and that your followers continue to have a happy interaction with you. Because I will state that the interaction you gave me was not pleasant, not necessary, not needed, and certainly not appropriate, especially due to the power hierarchy that you have on your platform in that channel. You need to be a little bit more soft when you approach somebody and you're super emotional. Because if you go back and read through my comments, I did not call your friend, I didn't even know it was your friend until like my last comment. I didn't call your friend any names. I just reacted to the physicality that I saw in the video. So, everybody, try to show love before hate. Try to show curiosity before you think you need to show intelligence. and try to be kind before you zone in on being right. Because we don't know how this is going to end until it goes to court. And I wish everybody well. Be careful who you YouTube with, y'all. It's crazy out there right now. No harm, no foul. I'm big girl. I'll get over it. Just thought this was weird and wanted to address it.